Trump has never, ever been right in the head.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man. An enormous, really an enormous. And then they announced there was no buys, no.
And this president doesn't have good faith disagreement and these orders. He does not care. He is a lawless criminal. And we have basically a criminal regime. And if you believe that they are going to are going to abide by court orders, they're not going to do it. They're already probably trying to slide around.
Live television captured a moment Donald Trump will never escape. Not a slip, not a tantrum, a full public unmasking. And the wrecking blow came from the man he least wants to hear, George Conway. With cold precision, Conway exposed Trump's political collapse, legal threats, and the fragile truth behind his marriage. His breakdown felt less like commentary and more like a verdict. In that moment, Trump wasn't in control, he was the one being examined.
And when you capitulate to him, you are encouraging them to send more people to El Salvador, including potentially American citizens, because they want to create a system where everybody's too afraid to provide legal services to fight against the illegality. And one more thing here is, they're doing this because of money. Yeah. Money, and here's what's going on with this. The firms that are capitulating, and I know this because I spent 30 years practicing at a law firm that did mergers and acquisitions work, okay? And it's a very lucrative form of work, and you get paid only if the deals go through. Mm-hmm. And you get paid a significant amount, a percentage of the deal. It's lucrative business, and it's fine business in ordinary times. And they're afraid that the government won't approve the deals of their clients. Well, sorry, guys, you're destroying your reputation in an environment where there aren't going to be any deals because the president is destroying the economy and the U.S. dollar. So you are doubly foolish.
Conway didn't come at Trump with rage, he came with precision. His words struck directly at Trump's fragile image, his need for control, and the brittle loyalty holding his world together. But the real shock landed when he voiced a theory long whispered behind closed doors: Melania's quiet isn't love, it's leverage. Her distance, her timing, her unreadable expression all form a calculated shield. And if there is truth behind Conway's insinuation, she may possess influence that could shake Trump more than any courtroom. The question that lingers is chilling: what happens if she chooses to use it?
One of the things that is sort of interesting about the Trump people is they're not loyal to each other, and not even to the Trump in some ways. I don't mean the Trump voters, but I mean the people around him. They are all as self-interested as him. They are all trying to make money by acting as gatekeepers to Trump.
I guess they don't like me, but let me just tell you, these are losers from day one. Guys like Bill Kristol, he's 0-32. George Conway, you take a look at him. Just take a look at that guy. The man's a stone-cold loser. So they should not call it the Lincoln Project. It's not fair to Abraham Lincoln, a great president. They should call it the Losers Project. Okay, thanks.
This wasn't speculation, this was a live autopsy of a political giant. Conway broke Trump down with the precision of a detective exposing a long-buried truth. He claimed Melania's silence is not confusion or loyalty, but strategy. She observes every meltdown from a calculated distance, shielding herself while cataloging every misstep. Her sudden absences during scandals, her emotionless reactions, even the subtle tension in her voice, Conway insisted they all point to a chilling possibility: she knows far more than she reveals. And if she ever decides to release what she has witnessed, the damage could be far more devastating than any courtroom verdict Trump has ever feared.
First of all, you're ruining your own reputation. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you're betraying your profession, your professional oath. Thirdly, you are betraying your country because you're doing harm to your country, because you're creating the impression that this administration cannot be fought for all of the illegalities that we've been talking about. Right. This is an administration that is punishing people because the president is a convicted felon and is angry that he was almost brought to justice, and he wants to inflict harm on the government, and also his people he wants to inflict harm on our legal system, and he also wants to deter people from fighting back to all the illegal things he's doing.
Conway didn't simply touch their marriage, he tore open a deeper truth. He linked Trump's stormy leadership style to his closest relationships, insisting both run on a cold, transactional loyalty. Trump demands devotion but rarely returns it, he declared, staring directly into the lens. He cited how quickly Trump abandons allies when they're no longer useful, and then delivered the bombshell: Melania may be quietly preparing for the moment when leaving him isn't just an option, but a necessity. The crowd froze. Because if she ever steps out of the shadows and turns against him, Conway implied, the consequences could ripple across politics, media, and Trump's entire legacy.
They don't want to obey laws, they don't want to obey rules, they don't think they apply to them. And Donald Trump has no moral conscience and no empathy. He does not care about anybody else other than Donald Trump. Which is why, in his first term, he said, Article 2 lets me do whatever I want. Article 2 of the Constitution. The first Trump term, which I call Shit Show 1, was an assault on the rule of law, but it was only like it was like cancer. It was like a stage 1, maybe stage 2. We got to stage 2 right around January 6th, and he was a threat to the rule of law. And then he went into remission.
What Conway said next changed the room. He suggested, carefully, deliberately, that Melania may already be preparing her exit, not as a spouse, but as a political survivor. She has seen everything: the fury, the frantic phone calls, the secrets whispered behind closed doors. She knows every corner of his world because she helped build it. And if she kept records, as Conway hinted, Trump's greatest threat is not a judge or a journalist, it's the woman who knows his history better than he does. One interview from her could fracture everything. That, Conway said, is why her quiet is more dangerous than any accusation she could speak.
Free is basically where we are ignoring laws and running roughshod over laws. I mean, they're basically refusing to spend money appropriated by Congress, which is against the law. The law requires the president to spend money. The president can't not spend the money that's been allocated for particular subjects. And you've got this guy who's not been appointed lawfully under the Constitution.
Let's talk about that.
Musk. Yep. And so that's stage 3. Stage 4 is going to be, well, these courts are telling me not to obey orders. Why should I? I don't want to obey the law, so why am I obeying the courts? And stage 4 is metastasis. Stage 4 is when democracy can die. And the rule of law can die, and constitutionalism can die. And we, unless something happens radically, I can't see how we don't get to stage 4, because the logical path that they are taking, which is that the law doesn't apply to us, and nobody can enforce the law against us.
Conway went beyond commentary. He created a sense of dread that swept through the room. He described Trump as a man who survives through dominance but crumbles the moment he's challenged. And right now, Conway said, he's losing ground everywhere. His allies are drifting, his legal walls are closing in, and his carefully polished image is cracking. But the real danger lies inside his home. Melania knows every secret, every payoff, every threat, every moment of collapse. If those details ever surfaced beyond Trump Tower, it wouldn't just be a domestic rupture, it could dismantle the entire movement Trump believes he controls.
I don't want to diagnose him, but I think if you look at the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, he fits every single one of them. It's like the criteria were made to describe him. And I think what we saw with this tweet yesterday is that last final collapse of Donald Trump's mental state. I mean, you think about it, those were like 50, 60, 70,000 people in the aggregate in five rallies in different states. That's loopier than saying that the moon landings were staged, because there were tens of thousands of people were there. To think that is crazy, and to try to sell it to people is just as crazy. He's done. His brain is...
Conway then made a calculated turn toward Trump's mental stability, something critics hint at but rarely confront directly. Conway showed no such restraint. He described Trump's mindset as erratic, volatile, and increasingly disconnected from reality. He said Trump's latest interviews and speeches resemble the words of someone drifting further into confusion. But here's the sting: Melania has recognized this decline longer than anyone, and her emotional distance is not cruelty, it is preparation for an inevitable fallout. In Conway's analysis, Trump's unraveling isn't a rumor, it's observable fact. And should Melania ever step forward with what she knows, the country would see a side of Trump no political aide could spin or bury. The broadcast studio fell silent as Conway struck again. He peeled back the facade of Trump's projected strength, revealing a man dependent on others to keep him standing. And Melania, Conway argued, may be his last remaining buffer, but not out of loyalty. Out of self-preservation. Her smiles are shields. Her absences are alarms. She isn't standing beside him, she's positioning herself for the moment the truth explodes. Conway's closing message left a chill. Trump is not merely politically vulnerable, he is personally deserted, trapped in a shrinking circle of people who know the collapse is coming.
Donald Trump won in 2016. Your name was floated as someone who might work in his administration. You turned that down, and
I was offered the job of head of the Civil Division of the Department of Justice. And I filled out all the forms. They ran my background check, and I was interviewing people who were going to work underneath me. I was sort of far along there, and then I just started having this queasy feeling like I don't really want to work in this administration, because what I saw was a shit show and a dumpster fire. And I just got to the point where I just couldn't do it, and so I didn't. And I was one of the best decisions I'd ever made. Okay, I admit I was wrong to support Donald Trump in 2016. I was horribly wrong. It was a horrible exercise in judgment. I knew better. I should have known that.
Within minutes, social media was ablaze. Speculation erupted. Has Melania been quietly collecting evidence? Could she become the witness no one dared predict? Conway didn't confirm anything, but he didn't need to. The uncertainty alone sent Trump's loyalists spiraling. Conway's mastery wasn't just in his accusations but in the terrifying silence he let fill the gaps. Each smirk, each pause pushed viewers toward their own unsettling conclusions. Then he delivered the strike. Prosecutors don't scare him. She does. The impact was immediate. If Melania truly frightens him, then Trump's greatest threat isn't a courtroom, it's living in his own home.
Terry Schreckman wants to know from you, George, do you expect Trump to target you and other staff of the Lincoln Project? And if so, do you have a defense plan?
I don't have a defense plan other than whatever he pulls up is going to be meritless. My finances are simple. It won't, I don't fear him. And I think one of the things that that people don't quite understand about Trump, but they really should, is the fact that he's a bully and he wants to pick on people who won't fight back.
Conway closed with a final message that felt less like commentary and more like a grim forecast. He predicted that Trump wouldn't fall because of legal battles or political defeats, but because of a betrayal he never imagined possible. And when it arrives, Conway said, it will dismantle not just his power but the carefully crafted mythology he hides behind. The strong leader illusion survives only while the inner circle believes the story. Once that belief cracks, everything collapses in an instant. The quiet that followed was chilling. It wasn't just the studio that fell silent, it was the whole country absorbing the implication. If Conway's analysis is correct, Trump's most devastating threat is not an enemy across the aisle but someone sharing the frame beside him, smiling calmly, silently holding the key to his undoing.
He's a sociopath, and one of the things about sociopath is that they don't plan, they don't think, they just emote, and they're impulsive, and they act on their whims and impulses and the last person who talked to them. And that's why and then also they have the power, they love the power, the feeling of power that they get when they say, I'm turning this on, I'm turning this off, I'm turning the lights out, I'm turning the lights on, I'm raising tariffs, I'm lowering tariffs, I'm telling everybody in Tehran, 10 million people to evacuate, I'm telling them they're safe for now. Okay? He gets off on that, and then he gets bored with what he said yesterday, and of course he doesn't necessarily remember what he says or care what he says yesterday, so tomorrow's going to be something else.
The cracks in Trump's carefully crafted empire have widened into deep fractures, and now they're spreading faster than he can patch them. The investigations surrounding him are no longer distant echoes, they have become unavoidable storms backed by documents, witness testimony, and prosecutors who've lost patience. Former loyalists are crumbling under pressure, offering damning details that paint an increasingly grim picture. The money trails, the secret deals, the misplaced classified files, they're stacking into a mountain of accusations too high for even Trump's bravado to climb. He can call it political persecution, media bias, or a witch hunt, but the growing evidence doesn't blink. And the closer accountability gets, the more visibly rattled he becomes. Every outburst, every late-night post, every frantic claim reveals the same truth: panic. And panic, in politics, is the kind of scent that draws predators from every direction.
This is Donald Trump leading the Republican Party off the cliff. This is a man for whom there is no bottom, and Republicans are just afraid to call him out. He's saying we're in the middle of this war where Putin, who can't be trusted for a moment, who murders political opponents, who slaughters women and children, and Donald Trump is focused on what? Himself? Because he wants to get revenge for losing the 2020 election. He says, okay, let's see their dirt on Hunter Biden. I wonder someday that maybe we won't have a president in Russia who actually acts in the best interest of the Russian people and behaves himself before the world. Maybe President Navalny. I mean, pray to God that somehow that could happen. And maybe we'll see the files on Donald Trump. I think those would be interesting.
The loyal ranks that once surrounded Trump like a fortress are rapidly thinning. Mega donors who used to throw money at him like confetti now treat him like a radioactive risk. Political operatives who once praised his instincts now call him a guaranteed disaster behind closed doors. Even Fox News, his most reliable megaphone, cuts off his live speeches the moment they drift into chaos. The very machine that once elevated him is slowly abandoning him. Without the constant roar of media support boosting his every claim, his grip on his base weakens. The invincible persona he crafted is cracking, piece by piece, exposing a man scrambling to keep control. For the first time, he isn't shaping the narrative. He's being consumed by it. And as allies vanish and influence fades, he stands alone, haunted by the possibility that the empire he constructed is collapsing right in front of him.
Absolutely, I do think that. I think it was most propitious timing. I think this needed to be done no matter who the Democratic nominee was, for the simple reason that Donald Trump has been getting basically this easy pass, double standard on his behavior, because we've seen so much of it, and it's basically been normalized, even though it's completely bizarre. We almost kind of don't bat an eyelash at him talking about sharks and electrocution and Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's been doing crazy stuff like that for years. So he has this weird advantage, and that's part of the advantage. The other part of the advantage is that people are afraid to talk about mental health issues of any sort, lest they give offense or they don't want to stigmatize people. But I mean, this is just so different. I mean, this is the man, the question, this is the question of the mental stability of somebody who would have control of the second largest nuclear arsenal on the planet. I mean, this is just, you just can't look at it the same.
Inside private meetings, Republican officials whisper anxiously about a decision they hoped history would spare them. Do they cling to Trump, knowing his ship is taking on water fast? Or do they step away and risk becoming the next target of his fury? Both roads could end careers. The midterms exposed the truth they tried to ignore. Trump-backed candidates stumbled, and the promised red wave dissolved into disappointment. Data analysts see the trend clearly: independents flee the moment Trump dominates the headline. But letting him go might split the base in half, tearing the party apart. It's a political standoff filled with fear, calculation, and quiet panic. And in the center stands Trump, gripping the detonator with a smirk, fully aware of the chaos he commands. He knows the party depends on him. And he's ready to blow up the entire machine if it keeps him at the top.
He can't help himself but emotionally react to things. One of the things that he's a narcissistic sociopath. That's the thing everyone has to kind of get used to. It's the reason why You cannot normalize him. You cannot treat him like a normal human being because he's not. He is unwell. And that's why he can't follow. He's not going to be able to follow his lawyer's directions. That's why, he played right into the plaintiff's hands in the E. Jean Carroll case. They're trying to show basically he's a jerk. And what does he do? He acts like a jerk right in front of the jury. He shows disrespect for the jury. And, the fact of the matter is he's saying, oh, none of this ever happened. Well, okay, where's your testimony?
The other thing that he did was to show that, this is his modus operandi. He intends to, he's willing to use the threat of violence or to incite violence in order to coerce government officials to either forego enforcing the law against him or to, violate the law as he sought to have Pence and members of Congress do on January